Hey everybody, welcome to Garden Time with Belle. I am coming to you from my greenhouse this morning. It is the third week of October and it is a blustery, windy morning here in my Zone 6 Mid-Missouri garden. And I am so glad you're here because today's video is all about me sharing with you tips and tricks for growing one of my favorite crops, one of the easiest things you'll ever grow. And if you love to cook like I do, you need to grow your own. Before I show you all what it is that I'm going to be planting out in the garden today, I'm going to invite everybody to please like and subscribe to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I am so glad that you found me. I am a gardener here in mid-Missouri, a Zone 6. We get hot and humid summers and cold and snowy winters. I love where I live. I love gardening in all four seasons, and fall is the time for planting this crop. So let's get into it. All right, so the big reveal. I bet some of you know probably what I've been storing in my downstairs pantry since I harvested this in late June, early July, and that would be garlic. Check out this big, beautiful head of garlic that I grew last year. Let's talk about some garlic basics. Really sound advice I can share with you if you haven't grown garlic before. Those of you out there that like to grow garlic like I do, please leave your tips and tricks in the comments below so that we can share our ideas with each other and everybody can kind of weigh in on what they know about garlic growing. But for me, I want to give you kind of what I found works really well in my environment, in my zone. So first of all, of course, you see my sack here. I harvested about 40 or 50 heads of garlic. I guess it was probably this summer. It would either be the last week of June or first week of July. That's typically when I pull them from the ground. But I know that I need to get them in the ground to be able to harvest them next summer. And I need to do that by mid-October, late October at the latest. And I think I got a little bit of a late start this last year. But how do I know when to plant? Right there, I marked my sack to remind myself to plan out my garlic around October the 25th. And we're a few days today when I'm filming. It's a few days before that, but it's perfectly fine. In fact, Joe Lample, who is the Joe Gardener, somebody that I really admire. He's an organic gardener and he has a wonderful website and Facebook page, Instagram. I'll make sure I put a link to his contact information below. His recommendation is, depending upon where you live, you want to get your garlic cloves in the ground at least a couple weeks before your first frost. And my Zone 6 Mid-Missouri garden, my first frost is generally the last couple of weeks of October. So perfect timing here. So that is what I'm planning to do today. So I have already separated a bunch of garlic cloves from my supply that I've been storing downstairs in my pantry. And I mean, check out the size of these garlic cloves that I pulled apart from some heads. They are enormous. I don't get this at the grocery store. I don't get this delicious fresh garlic, these gigantic cloves at my supermarket, and I don't need to. I haven't had to purchase garlic in years because I grow my own. I pull them, I store them, and then I take from my crop, like I have today, pull apart cloves, and I take the biggest, most beautiful cloves, and I plant them out for another year's supply. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to pull in the camera real close because I want to show you how to pull apart a head of garlic and get your cloves, and then we're going to head out into the garden and get to it. So I had my greenhouse door, which is behind the camera, shut earlier because it is so windy and it's blowing in here. And so you might notice my garlic's going to be blowing around a little bit. If it gets too windy, I'll go ahead and shut it. But hopefully you can see what I'm showing you. So as I mentioned, I've already pulled apart a few heads of garlic. And actually, the garlic that I grow produces so many big, beautiful cloves. I was getting on average 8 to 10 cloves, big cloves, out of each head of garlic. So There are two types of garlic that we can grow. We can grow what's called hardneck garlic and softneck. The kind that I grow is called softneck. And basically, softneck garlic has a couple of things going for it. It's really great for people in warmer climates. I'm a zone 6B, so, I'm not really a warm climate. I'm sort of right in between. But what I really like about softneck garlic is that it lasts longer. It stores a long time. In fact, I harvested this the first week of July, and this will be good for me probably up until next May or so. I was able to actually use my garlic and keep it good for almost 11 months, which is fantastic. Again, you have to store your garlic, and I store it in paper sacks in a cool, dark space. And so wherever that is in your home, that'll help you keep your garlic longer. Hardneck garlic is a different kind of garlic, and it's best if you live in a cooler climate, if you garden up in the north part of the US. And it has a center stem that's really woody, hence the name hardneck. Really, really woody stalk that goes right down through the center, and it also puts off something that's called scapes. So if you want to grow hardneck, awesome. Just do a quick Google search on the difference, but I tend to like, in my place, in my garden, softneck. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to just peel this apart. And why I'm bothering showing you this is a couple of tips and tricks. When you are separating your cloves, you want to be careful in doing that. And the thing that you want to try, if possible, is when you are separating your garlic cloves out, you want to leave as much paper on them. You do not want to peel your garlic. You do that when you cook in the house with it. But for planting, this paper skin helps give it a little protection, and it won't rot in the ground as readily. So really, that is all there is to it. So I'm just going to go ahead and separate the cloves off of this head of garlic and add it to what I've got, and then we're going to head out into the garden and get these in the ground, and I'll explain to you the process for that in just a little bit. All right, now that I've got that head of garlic separated out, the general recommendation is you want to plant the biggest cloves. Bigger cloves produce bigger heads of garlic. And so, ooh, here comes the wind through the greenhouse door. This is all going to go flying, but okay. So I did want to show you, of course, some size differences. So you could sort them if you want. I may go ahead and plant some of the smaller ones. It just depends, but I'll just show you. Hopefully you can see what that looks like. I hopped up and changed the angle of the camera because I wasn't sure if I was able to capture that earlier. So I just kind of want to show you all the size difference. The majority of my cloves are humongous, which makes me very happy. And then, yeah, so this is sort of what we've got. I'll do a quick count here in a minute and see how many we have. I'm hoping, I want to get at least 30 to 40 planted. I know that might sound like a lot, but I use garlic in the vast majority of my cooking, and I also will give fresh garlic away to my son and daughter-in-law and my friends. So let's see. Oh, here's another one. Here's a little one. All right, let me put this aside and let's just do a quick count. Super happy. I ended up with 44 cloves, big, beautiful cloves of garlic to plant out. And so before we head out into the raised bed garden and get these in one of my raised beds, I thought I might share with you some really important tips and tricks for how to actually plant your cloves. first thing you want to remember is when you put your individual cloves in the soil, you want the pointy side up and the root side down. If you have any experience planting bulbs like tulip bulbs, daffodil bulbs, same kind of deal. Okay, so that's the orientation. You want to plant them 1.5 to 2 inches deep so they don't go very far below the soil surface. And it's recommended that you try to space your cloves about 4 to 5 inches apart. So 4 to 5 inches is that's about 4 to 5 inches, somewhere in there, because your individual cloves are going to turn into big, beautiful bulbs like I showed you earlier. And so you don't want your bulbs touching underground. You want each clove to have plenty of nutrients and not to be fighting for moisture and nutrients from your soil. So spacing 4 to 5 inches apart. That's really all there is to it. Now, the other thing you're going to see me do is you're going to see me amend the soil, and this is really great raised bed soil. In fact, it's new soil this year. We retrofitted a couple of our old beds into the tall raised beds, and the soil is fantastic. My crops that I grew in our new raised beds just perform beautifully. So I don't need to add any fertilizer except for some Biotone starter fertilizer. So you'll see me put that on there. We'll get the cloves in the ground, and then I'll give them a nice little watering. Not a lot of water, but I'll water them in. And then the last thing that's really important when you're growing garlic, especially where you get cold winters like here, is you need to cover your where you planted your garlic cloves with 4 to 6 inches of good mulch, not wood mulch, but something light so that the garlic can grow up through it. And in my case, straw is my friend in my veggie garden. So I'll be putting a nice thick layer of straw. It helps protect the garlic cloves because remember, I'm planting them here. It's the 3rd week of October, and they're going to stay in the ground all the way until the late June of next summer. So they got to go through our fall, our cold winters, and our cold and rainy springs. So that's going to protect them. All that's left is let's get out there and get these in the ground. All right, let's get to it. And I am hoping the wind is coming from my back, and I've got my little fuzzy thing on my mic that's supposed to cut down on wind noise, so I apologize if the audio is not going to be great. I basically shared with you inside the greenhouse where it was quiet kind of what I'm going to be doing, so I probably will just get to doing it instead of trying to talk in case the audio is not great. So first step, broadcast some Biotone organic root fertilizer. All right, step 2, I'm gonna take my trowel, I'm gonna go down about 2 inches, and I think I'll do 4 long rows. All right, now I'm going to place my cloves pointy side up, root side down, and I'm going to try to space them around 4 to 5 inches apart. All right, so they're in there. Next step is to water them in. final step is to mulch. You want 4 to 6 inches of mulch that's nice and light. And I mentioned earlier, I'm going to use straw. I love using straw in my veggie and cut flower garden. It works great for me. It's super windy, so I would imagine some of the straw might float around a little bit, but it will eventually settle down. Okay, I typically wouldn't water over the top of the straw, but I am because it's such a windy day that I don't think it's going to blow too much, but just to be safe, I think I'll give the top of the straw just a little bit of water. Well, I popped back inside the greenhouse to get out of the crazy wind that we're having today, just to thank you all so much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I loved bringing you along as I got 44 cloves of garlic in that raised bed because I know the wait is going to be worth it. Come next June, early July, I am going to have big, beautiful heads of garlic to use in my cooking. So I hope one of your takeaways from today is to realize how simple this is to grow. I wish I had started growing it years ago. I had lots of my gardening friends saying, Belle, you really need to grow garlic. It is so simple, and especially if you love to cook. And they were right. Took me a while to learn that lesson, and so I hope you'll give it a try in your garden as well. So until next time, I wish everybody out there happy gardening.